Okay guys, welcome to this video. Today's video is on how to remove and replace front brake pads and brake discs. Okay, as you can see here, we've got our new disc and our new brake pads. Okay, you can see a slight difference in the brake pads. One has a clip on it that will clip into the caliper, which I'll show you in a wee second. And the first thing you need to do is, you see I've got the bonnet up, the first thing we actually need to do is look for the brake sign. Okay, this is your brake symbol here. That's on your brake master cylinder, the reservoir. So you need to remove that. The reason being is we'll have a seal inside there, and when you push your piston back inside your caliper, the fluid will come up here, and if you don't have this off, it'll damage that seal. The reason for that is because brake fluid is what we call hygroscopic, which absorbs moisture from the air. I'll explain that at another time or another video. Okay, so all you really need to do is remove that. Then the next thing we need to do now is go down to the actual brakes. Okay, so this is us down at the brakes now. Okay, as you can see, we've got our brake caliper here. Inside here we have our brake pads, and this is our piston. When you put your foot on the brake, the fluid comes down the brake line, pushes the fluid against the piston, which squeezes the pads and stops the actual disc from spinning. Okay, this type of disc here is what we call a ventilated disc. As you can see, the holes inside it, and the purpose of that is to disperse any heat coming off your brakes, because your brakes will convert kinetic energy into a heat energy, and we need to disperse as much heat as this as possible. So why we're replacing these brakes today is because you can see the brake discs, they measured below manufacturer's recommendations, and the brake pads are actually quite low. Okay, so some tools that we're going to need for today is we're going to need a flathead screwdriver, some copper grease. You're going to need a 13mm socket, a 7mm Allen key, a 3/8 drive ratchet. Going to need a drill with a wire brush end on it. That's to clean our carrier. You're then going to need a piston pusher that pushes the piston back, and a hammer. The hammer's to remove the brake disc off the hub. Okay, so that's the sort of tools that you'll need. Okay, so now we've at the brake caliper. First thing you need to do is, you see where your brake sliders are. This type of caliper is called a floating caliper, is because it'll float back and forth. It's not like a fixed caliper. I'll explain a fixed caliper in another video. Okay, so you have wee caps here that need to be removed off, and that will give us access to our sliders. That's when we then use our 7mm Allen key on the 3/8 drive ratchet, and you remove your sliders off then. Okay, okay, so I have forgot to do something already. Which is here, you can see our anti-rattle clip. Okay, basically you get your flathead screwdriver in behind your anti-rattle clip, and we just wedge that out nice and gently. Okay, try not to lose that. Right, I will find that. Okay, so then all you need to do is wedge back your sliders, and now you can see we'll have access. That's what we call our brake sliders. We're going to need to clean this up and copper slip that as well. Okay, once that's done, you then need to wedge off your caliper. Okay, you can see, remember I said earlier about the brake pad with the clip on it? We're going to push that back. This is the one with the clip which sits into your piston. You just basically use your piston pusher and squeeze that piston back. You can see the piston actually go back. Now you would want to check this dust boot to make sure it's in good condition. If that dust boot is not in good condition, you can get water ingress in there and that piston can seize. And that's the piston pushed back. Okay. Just pop out your old brake pad. Now we've got our new brake pads. Okay. You can see this is the contact point here and contact point here. They will sit exactly like so. So on them contact points, what we need to do is copper grease them. Okay. All you need is a wee drop of copper grease and do it on that contact point. That's all the copper grease you need. Take out your other old pad, it's good to go. Now if you don't have a wire brush on a drill end, you can actually just get a wire brush and make sure you clean your brake carrier. This is the part which houses the brake pads. Okay, you need to be careful with that brake dust. Next thing we do is we get some brake cleaner. There's some more. And you just give that a clean down with brake cleaner. And that makes that nice and clean. It prevents any of the brakes squealing and whatever, okay? The next step then is to remove the carrier itself. You should never leave the caliper hanging like that, by the way, on the brake flexi hose. That can damage your brake flexi hose. So you can set it up on the disc out of the way. Or you can tie it up around the spring. Okay, so that's your carrier removed. Now we have access to our brake disc, and now I hit this one previous, but what you would do is hit the brake disc around the outer edge here. Just give it a couple of taps. That should free it up and allow you to remove the brake disc. Okay, so now that's now ready. Brake disc on. Then we would put our carrier on, put our pads in, rebuild it back up in reverse order. Okay, so that's the brake carrier back on. We're going to add in one of our brake pads. We've got our other brake pad, and this is the one with a clip which clips into the bottom of the piston. Okay, I've now got my two sliders. I'm going to go and bring them and clean them up and re-grease them. Okay, so now I've got my sliders cleaned up, and you see I've put a wee bit of copper grease on them. I'll just put them back into the caliper. Okay, that allows them to move a lot more freely now. And whatever you do on this side, you're going to do the exact same on the other side. And then your your caliper goes on. Put your sliders in. We'll tighten our sliders up. We will put our anti-rattle pin on, put our 2 clips on. We will put the cap back on, and then the last and probably one of the most important things to do, that a lot of people forget to do, is make sure you pump the brake pedal. See, because we push that piston back, that needs to come back out and meet the pads against the discs, and that's through that. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to finish this off here. Speak to you soon.